Today we have officially run out of video ideas, so now we're going to do... When I uploaded the last tier list video, everyone was saying you should do a tier list of every single thing on Earth, and you know, there was one that wasn't really that bad of an idea. It was a ReZero fight tier list. Now, I'm not really a meathead, so I might have some potentially controversial takes throughout this. I'm not entirely sure, but we're gonna do them in chronological order. So I'm not gonna do the thing I usually do, where I give examples of tiers, but I will still describe how these tiers are gonna work. So we're gonna have the S tier, which these are the peak fights of the series. These are the zenith of the medium. This is that shit that changes your life. We have the A tier fights, which are pretty good fights. Maybe they just needed a little bit more to be peak fiction. B, those are good fights. They're cool. Not much else to say about them besides that. C is usually the tier I have in tier lists where I either don't have an opinion on something or I don't really care about them. D, these fights are... maybe they're just boring, or I don't think that they really went into the potential that they should have, and so on and so forth. And F, the shit from the butt of the series, bottom of the medium, extremely bad fights, or ones that send bad messages. Now, again, we're going to do this in chronological order. This is not... it's not that there's just one fight in the whole story, okay? So, the Arc 1 Elsa versus Reinhardt fight. Now, I have not read that in a long time. I also have not watched that episode in a long time. It's fine. Like, it's cool, you know? It's a cool fight. How about that? It's a picturesque B fight to me. It's just cool. I really don't got anything else to say about it besides that, so I guess we'll just jump right into Arc 2, which is also one fight. We have the Subaru versus Olgar. Now, if you really want to get technical, I'm probably missing some of the fights from the list here in the future. That's tough, man. I'm already gonna be here for a long fucking time. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Subaru versus Olgar. I'll be honest, man, it's cooler than Elsa versus Reinhardt because it felt like, obviously, because it's not Reinhardt, right? It's a Subaru fight. The stakes are so much higher, and Arc 2 is really good. I don't know how often you guys go back and watch or read Arc 2. Arc 2 is really good. This scene in the anime is really cool. I really like Subaru versus the Olgar, even though, you know, there's not a whole lot to it. But I would say Arc 3 is when you start to get to the fights that have a lot more substance to them. So for the first Arc 3 fight, we have Subaru versus Julius. Calling this a fight might be a little charitable for Subaru, considering he just gets his fucking ass beat the whole time. I mean, like, in terms of a fight, it's not very good, but I do like what it does for Subaru's character, so let's put it middle of B. Because this is the start of Subaru's downfall into a loser fucking incel. And I thought that was a really cool way to go with his character. I really enjoyed it. Now, obviously, some of the fights we have here in the future might have a little bit more to it. Everyone versus the White Whale. The main standout of Everyone versus the White Whale is that Wilhelm happened, and I guess, like, Wilhelm was supposed to not be a character originally, apparently, as per Tapei's musings. Wilhelm had a lot of interesting stuff about his relationship with Theresia and going out on a quest for revenge against the White Whale, and his backstory and all that. The fight itself of Everyone versus the White Whale is unfortunately probably the low point of Arc 3, which is otherwise an exceptional arc, might I add. The White Whale fight, eh. And White Whale kind of lost aura when they made it CG in the director. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Why did they go back into the director's cut and make the White Whale CG? I really can't fathom it. You have this incredible hand-drawn White Whale for the TV version, and then for the Blu-ray version, you just make it ass. Who in the studio or who in the production committee, whoever was responsible for this, who looked at that and was like, dude, you know what would really sell copies is if we made this just worse. If we just made this shittier. I guess I shouldn't be that perplexed because that's just how the Republican Party works, but whatever. Subaru and Julius versus Pedel Juice. Now this is a great fight. I would say this is our first A fight. I really like Subaru and Julius versus Pedel Juice because obviously you have the whole inferiority complex stuff going on with Subaru and Julius. Subaru having to put that aside to take down, well, himself. Obviously saying Pedel Juice is Subaru, well, that might be a little bit of a loaded connotation in the ReZero community, saying somebody is somebody else, but they're not one-to-one analogous, but Pedel Juice is very clearly supposed to be an analogy for Subaru's feeling like he is entitled to Emilia's respect and love. I mean, when Julius kills Pedel Juice at the end, some of his last words are like, oh, after all I've done for you, which is exactly what he said to Emilia. It was a good swallow your pride moment for Subaru, because obviously Subaru is pride and so on and so forth, and he's Aldebaran and he's Flugel and he's Otto or something, I don't know. But those are the Arc 3 fights. Took ReZero 24, or was it 25, whole episodes to have one great fight. Couldn't have been Jujutsu Kaisen or something. Let's just go to Arc 4, huh? So, I'm gonna preface the Arc 4 fights with, I have not watched Season 2 in a long time. And I have not read Arc 4 entirely. So, if I had to say that any of these ratings are the most, like, subject to change in the future, it's gonna be the Arc 4 fights. So, if I do something that makes you pissed off, don't worry about it. It might piss me off too in a couple months when I read Arc 4. That's a great chance to remind everyone that I'm making a ReZero retrospective. I'm gonna start it when Arc 10 starts, so I guess look out for that. Otto and Ram versus Garfield. This is one of those fights that you would go like, oh, this was a fight if you watched the anime. But yeah, it was. Otto actually did all kinds of shit, Ram actually did all kinds of shit, and maybe this is tax because I haven't read it. It's a cool fight, but like, I think it's just a top of B fight. I don't really think there's all that much going for it outside of like, oh, Otto got to do cool shit, which it was cool, or Ram got to do cool shit. In the anime, I'm pretty sure Ram just goes like, strong punch, and then the fight ends, even though it's supposed to run for a lot longer than that. But people glaze this fight in my Discord, and maybe I'll appreciate it more when I read it, but what I've seen of it in the novel, because I have gone back to this fight, I don't really remember much. That's worth talking about. Subaru versus Garfield, in my opinion, is another cool fight that's also not the most impactful, but I think it's cool. It's also way better in both the manga and the novel. In the anime, it's not even fucking funny, man. In the anime, Garf hits him once, and then Subaru unleashes his hidden demonic powers or whatever. Dude, they're supposed to be going blow for blow on each other, which is kind of funny in hindsight. There's no goddamn reason that Subaru should be able to go blow for blow with Garfield, but it was cool though. It was cool though. This is one of the fights I feel like there's got to be more thematic relevance that I'm not picking up on because I haven't touched this stuff in a while. So maybe this is a fight that could probably go to A if I go back on it. That also includes Garfield versus Elsa. I feel like the elephant in the room with Garfield versus Elsa, no pun intended, is, I mean, obviously they're both siblings. I'm sure there's some sibling dynamic there that I just didn't pick up on when I first watched Arc 4, and I have not gone back to this fight in the novel, so I don't really know much about it. I would say it's a B fight. Again, that could change in the future. Ram and Puck versus Roswaal. This is a cool fight. I really like the scene of Ram taking Roswell's book and throwing it in the fire. Then she gets hit with a fucking Fat Man that we dropped in 1945. There's definitely stuff here that I have yet to unpack because, like I said, I just haven't gone back to Arc 4 in a while. So I'm gonna tentatively put this at top of B. This can probably go in A in the future, but I don't really know much about it at this moment. Or remember much about it is what I should say. Subaru, Emilia, and Bayako versus the Great Rabbit. And this repeats the same issue of the White Whale, where, like, fights against things are just, I feel like, intrinsically less interesting to me than fights against people. Subaru versus Olgarm is more cool to me than the White Whale fight or the Great Rabbit fight. I would probably say the Great Rabbit fight is a little bit better because I like Subaru and Betty a lot. It's probably the only reason. I much prefer fights that are against people rather than things, is really all it is. And now we have the most fights in one arc so far. We have Arc 5. Arc 5 started with Reinhardt versus Sirius. Now, there's definitely some cool stuff about Reinhardt versus Sirius that didn't make it into the anime about how Reinhardt is perceived. That is kind of unfortunate. I would totally recommend you go back and watch some of my episode videos, especially the Reinhardt versus Sirius episode. I talk a little bit more about it in those. But I think there was some interesting dialogue that was removed about Reinhardt's place in this world, about how he's the one most loved, and how Reinhardt feels about that. So I would say Reinhardt versus Sirius. It's probably like a middle of B fight. It's a cool fight with some cool ideas, but it's not like it's obviously not like a huge fight. You know what I mean? Next up is Emilia versus Sirius. It's a cool fight, but they don't really do anything, right? I mean, it's like a top of C fight. It is a cool fight. Unfortunately, Emilia did take a generational aura loss with her battle cries in the anime, but that's okay. Next up is Subaru and Krush versus Capella. Also not much of a fight, but it is a great villain introduction. Like I said in my character tier list, I don't know why, but I'm a fan of Capella. I feel like there's gonna be something interesting with her eventually. Definitely something to be said about, you know, surface level appearances and how you can interpret that with lust. I would say it's just a comfortable middle B fight. Otto and Felt versus Lei is one that I don't have a strong opinion on. I don't think... Is there really anything to talk about in this fight besides, obviously, this is where the third Gluttony gets revealed. It's kind of a big deal, right? It's, fine. I don't know. I don't remember even at any point being, like, super impressed by this fight, even when I initially read it. It's fine. The staff is cool, I guess. Wilhelm versus Teresia. Some would say the emotional core of Arc 5, unless you watched the anime, and it's not. If I made $1 off this video for every time I slandered the anime, oh baby, I'd be making big money. Wilhelm versus Teresia is gonna be our second A-tier fight, I would say. This is a very good fight, and when I say Wilhelm versus Teresia, this is also going to include when Heinkel pulls up and when Reinhardt pulls up. Maybe it's more apt to just call it like the Estrella family drama fight or whatever. Teresia's backstory chapter, I'm not going to say episode, is a really, really, really good story about someone who is thrust into circumstances that they really don't want to take part in, but have no choice to. I think Teresia's backstory is really good. The way that the family reacts when Reinhardt pulls up, and when he's like, that's not her, that's just... I don't remember what he says exactly, but when he kills her again... It's just such a great reopening of wounds. Wilhelm versus Teresia, the Estrella family drama stuff, it's all very good. Subaru, Emilia, Reinhardt versus Regulus. I would say this is another A-tier fight. I know, maybe this is some revisionism because of the anime, I'm not entirely sure. Some people say that the Regulus fight was not one of the best parts of Arc 5. I don't understand it. I think this shit is awesome, not even because it's a spectacle, at least in my mind, and not in the anime. Sorry. It's also... And Regulus is a good antagonist for all three people involved. For Subaru, he represents that old, controlling, and fucked up side of Subaru that we saw in Arc 3. For Emilia, he is a great antagonist because Emilia's story in Arc 4 was about her dealing with her lack of autonomy, and Regulus is obviously... That motherfucker, he was on the flight logs, and Reinhardt, because, well, Regulus and Reinhardt are both considered monsters in their own regards, right? Whereas Regulus's presence inspires fear and dread in those around him, Reinhardt's presence inspires hope in those around him. And there was also that one scene where Regulus's wives are like, there's absolutely no way that Regulus can lose, and the viewer's like, dude, that's what we all say about Reinhardt, that's crazy. Unfortunately, in the anime... Sorry. Should I even say it? I'm gonna say it. The victory feels so much less earned. Like, in the novel, Regulus is actually... Well, he's not going, like, band for band with Reinhardt, but he's actually putting damage on him. Which made the fight feel like that much more crazy. But whatever, man. Whatever, man. Priscilla and Liliana versus Sirius is... solid. I would probably put it top of B. I think it did a good job for Priscilla's character. I feel like a lot of anime-onlys were pretty, well, novel readers probably as well back then. Pretty dug in about how Priscilla was like an evil fucker. And then Arc 5 comes along and she's like, yeah, she's an evil fucker, but she's raw. And maybe there's a little bit more to her. And I think it did a good job showing that. And the ideological conflict between Priscilla and Sirius about how wanting to become someone you love isn't necessarily love, and... You know, it's good to be your own independent person, and so on and so forth. I thought it was a good fight. Top of B, for sure. Al versus Capella. Everyone knows where this goes. I'm just kidding. It's like here. Maybe here. Or here. It's a really cool fight. I would love to put it S tier for the Aldebaran agenda, but obviously there's not like a whole lot to say, like thematically or narratively. It's a cool fight that gives us some information about Capella, but more importantly... gives us some of the first pieces that you get to work with about one of the great mysteries of ReZero, which is Aldebaran. and I think it did a really good job at that. I was really excited to see it adapted. It was fine, and it's a cool fight. I like it. Julius and Ricardo versus Roy. Much like the previous Gluttony fight in Arc 5, I don't really have much to say about this one. I like it more than Otto and Felt versus Lei because Julius is cool, and the stuff with his brother, which isn't really in the fight and is more inside stories into the future, I thought that stuff was good. Garfield versus Kurgan. If we're talking about the anime version, it's probably like low B because it's raw. If we're talking about the novel version, I would say it's an A tier fight. The way novel Garfield versus Kurgan like drags Garfield through the fucking mud, man. It feels like such a struggle for so long. And I can get to that. I don't really know how you adapt that with like an actual schedule and stuff. Like, do you just have 16 episodes of Garfield getting his ass beat? Because that's what it is in the novels, man. Garfield getting put through the ringer, really thinking that he can't do any of this. And Garfield, this character who is so interested in the legends and like the most powerful people of yore, now getting to fight one, and he's like, oh, that's so cool. And then he gets dragged up and down for like the whole fucking arc. So when he does come by and beat Kurgan, it feels so powerful. But the anime just doesn't have that, unfortunately. But in the novels, I love this fight. I think it's really, really cool. And those are the Arc 5 fights, finally. After 3 seasons, we can have some fights as good as, I don't know, Bleach. I haven't seen Bleach. Please don't get mad. If you are an anime only, now is the time to leave because we have plenty more fights to jump into for Arc 6, 7, 8, and 9. I just said 6, 7. Fuck. For Arcs 6, 8, 9, and 7. So, now is your time to leave. The first notable fight, technically this is more than Emilia versus Reed. This is kind of like a bunch of people versus Reed, but Emilia is the one who makes the landing blow. This fight is fucking horrible. This fight fucking sucks, man. And it's because the illustration plays a big part of it, and I know that's how the anime is going to adapt it, because it's the illustration. You have Emilia doing all this cool shit, and then the illustration adapts it like that. Oh my god, it's so bad, and he's doing the stupid fucking the rock symbol on his hands, and also he cuts her shirt open or whatever. It's so nasty. It's like the dumbest shit in the story so far. I hate that fucking fight. Anyway, Arc 6 fights are also some that I don't remember too particularly well. Because I haven't read Arc 6 since I read it, believe it or not. I have not really gone back. I've gone back and I've looked at chapter 654 quite a few times. But other than that, not really. So my memory might be hazy on some of these. Julius versus Reed. Round 1 anyway. For what I can try and remember about this fight, I think it was a pretty good fight. I would say it's probably like up here in like top of B, because Julius's character has been all about his status and who he is and like how much he's achieved, right? And so Arc 5's ending is like, psych, now you're a fucking nobody. And Julius is also somebody who is really interested in these figures of yore, just like Garfield. So he goes up to square up against Reed, but you know, he doesn't have those contracts with the spirits anymore. He's even lost those. He's lost everything. And now he's getting manhandled by a fucking P. Diddy. I'm sure there's more to it if I were to go back and read it again. Like, I'm sure it'll be an even better fight, but Julius versus Reed round 1 is a good fight. We're kind of gonna skip over all the, like, the micro fights during Nubaru's existence. And we're gonna jump straight into Subaru, Betty, and Meili versus Shala. And this is an okay fight that is elevated to, I would say, pretty good. I would say middle of A by the Shala name chapter. And it's not because of Shala's character, it's because she dies. Sorry, let me reiterate. It's not because she dies that this is a good chapter, it's because it has a lot of good content for Subaru because she dies. Because they solve the tower or whatever, and then she disintegrates into a little scorpion. And this was like Subaru's first major failure in his wanting to save everyone mentality, right? And I thought that was particularly powerful, even though I'm notably not someone, go ahead and put up the Shala ranking on the tier list on the big screen, on the Jumbotron. Not someone who's particularly fond of Shala. Her death did a lot for Subaru, which I very much appreciated. So I thought that was a great fight because of that. Julius and Reed Julius versus Reed round 2. I would say it's probably top of B. Now let me explain myself a little bit, right? Obviously, it's great emotional catharsis for Julius realizing that he has to start forging his path anew because he doesn't have his memories and whatnot. And it's a good fight. And the twist with Reed actually being Roy, that Roy tried to eat Reed and Reed took over his body because he's just that guy. And Roy can't do anything right. That was cool. The main thing holding back this fight is the extraordinarily subpar. I would say this is like the biggest fault of Arc 6 and probably one of the only ones. The reunion, well maybe reunion is not the right word for it. The meeting of Anastasia and Julius after he defeats Reed or Roy, whatever you want to call him, is like super lackluster and is like one of the only stains on the arc. Because like this was supposed to be Anastasia's arc and she dead ass don't do anything at all. It was not particularly good. But Julius was very good. If the capstone to his arc wasn't the meeting with Anastasia, this would probably be an A tier fight. Plus, also I haven't read Arc 6 in a while, so maybe it would be higher. Ram versus Lei. I apologize, this is purely a vibe-based ranking. This was an S tier fight. If you asked me why, I'd be like, dude, I don't remember. But this fight had me bouncing off the fucking walls when I read it, and I don't remember much of the fight anymore. But I thought this was... I'm positive there is stuff to say here about Ram's relationship with Rem. That inferiority complex that she doesn't remember. The ability to borrow her horn like she does in the fight. And obviously how it's juxtaposed with Lei and Roy's relationship. And to some extent Rui, although I don't think they really know about Rui. But it's been so long since I read it that I don't remember the particulars of the fight that well. Also, it was a fantastic fight. I do remember like the part of Ram putting up those wind blades. That was fucking cool as hell. But I just don't remember like the super specific aspects of this fight. Which is a shame, because everyone glazes it, including me, apparently. I'll get back into it one day. I'll reread Arc 6 sometime soon. This is purely based on how I remember feeling when I first read the fight. I was like, this is the best fight in ReZero for sure. Also, rare Otsuka credit. I like the illustration of Lei getting his head chopped off. I thought it was great. But it was a very cool fight. Something Warlock, something Oni God. Cool shit. We're putting it in S. Emilia versus Volcanica. This is... yeah, it's like a B tier fight. It's cool, you know? She's fighting a dragon. It's cool. She gets to the top. It's cool. Volcanica Senile. It's cool. Anyway, let's go to Arc 7. Jesus Christ. Look how many fights I just added. This is really when we start to get to the era of fight slop in this story, huh? Subaru versus Todd round 1 is kind of a arbitrary line I drew. I would say it's like... I would say it's when Subaru is running away from Todd in the Witch Beast Forest all the way to Garal. Because, I mean, Todd is trying to kill him, Subaru just doesn't know it, you know? It's like he went AFK. But, like, the fight is still going on, he just doesn't know about it. Subaru versus Todd is probably somewhere in, like, middle of B. It's so cool, though. I'm not gonna put it in A because it's not much of a fight, but it's when we really first get to find out about Todd and his mentality, and we're like, oh my god, this guy is psychotic, but he's so cool. And I thought it was really good set dressing for the start of Arc 7 as well, or like this Valachian saga as well. It really helped, really helped you get to know what you were getting into when you jumped into this shit. Next fight is Priscilla and Al versus Arakia. And this is just kind of like this is just a C tier fight. I mean, Priscilla comes in and stops Arakia from blowing up the city hall, and then Al fights her a little bit. And then he dangles off the balcony for a while, which is funny. Not much of a fight beyond that. Subaru Al Medium versus Olbart and Kafma. I would say this is another C tier fight. The first implication that something is, you know, Al is particularly an adept fighter for some reason. You get to see some of the capabilities of Kafma, and Kafma's cool. I like the sequence of them, you know, using the whip to get out, and then Aldebaran cops a feel on Subaru's fake breast. That's funny. Not much of a fight, though. And now we jump into the infantilization era. And we get our first fight in the infantilization era. It's pretty chill, pretty laid back. It's the 10-second loop. 10-second loop. It might be a top, not top A. It might be an A tier fight. It might be a low A, but oh my, it was a powerful fucking read, dude. The 10-second loop, unbelievable. When I first read it, Subaru getting his shit blown off every 10 seconds. Him thinking this wasn't returned by death. You know, him ending up relying on Rui like he did Yorna versus Olbart. And then, credit where it's due to Shala. Subaru flashing through all the things that he and his friends would have said. And landing on Shala saying, you know, the one who wins is you. Okay, Shala went from D tier to C tier because of that. I'll say it. No one else will. I thought it was a great fight. With a great conclusion. And it was, again, one of those things that made you go like, wow, this arc, this saga in Valikia is going to be particularly fucking grim. Next up, we have Infants versus Chaos Flame. I would say this is kind of like a middle of B fight. Because obviously it has a lot of, this is prior to 10-second loop. Sorry, I got it in the wrong order for some reason. This was when Subaru was like, oh yeah, she's an archbishop, and everyone was like, what? And Al starts freaking out, Medium starts freaking out, and Vincent's like, what are you gonna do? Vincent Valikia is like, well, I mean, sure. It's all good. Somehow has the most reasonable reaction in the room. But before that, you have, like, Al giving up because his authority doesn't work, and Rui saves Subaru, and people are getting ragdolled, and Vincent starts aura farming. And he's like, yo, yeah, come try me if you want to be burned by the flame of the fucking Yang sword that he won't pull out. And surely that'll have some, emotional payoff later. Okay, now we can go. Chaos Flame versus the Great Disaster. I love this shit. I love Chaos Flame versus the Great Disaster, man. I think it's awesome content between Vincent and Yorna. I think it's awesome Tarita content. A lot of people sleep on Tarita. I thought the Tarita name chapter was fantastic. Now, this fight might not have aged the best. Because, well, I guess we'll get to... No, I guess we won't get to it. Chaos Flame is never spoken about again, which is kind of crazy. But what we had, I loved. I loved Aldebaran telling Olbart to give him his authority back. Aldebaran taking charge of the situation, even though he's fucking pissing his pants. Just such a cool set piece, such a cool fight. With a lot of great content that just wasn't for Subaru, so I think a lot of people kind of disregard it. Even though there's a lot of good character work for everyone that's there. Well, except for people like, I guess, Kafma, because they just fight, which is fine. Heinkel versus Madeline is a good low B tier fight. There's not a whole lot to it, but it does have some good Heinkel content. It shows that he will get his ass beat by a 12-year-old in many such cases. Heinkel Despair is always good content. The fight itself just isn't really that crazy. But the follow-up to it is Priscilla and Amelia versus Madeline, which is also a low B tier fight. It's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's cool to see Priscilla and Amelia work together. It was cool to see them try to work to stop Misoria's breath. But I guess there's not much to the fight beyond that. It was just a cool fight, which I can appreciate. Next up is Gladiator Island versus Todd and Arakia. Oh man, what an interesting can of worms this is. Because when Todd first starts arriving, and everyone on the island dies, you're like, whoa, that's cool. What's going on? And it's like a low B thing. And then Subaru tries to figure it out, and then he aura farms on him. You know, it starts climbing through the ranks. And then you get to when Subaru realizes that his checkpoint is moving. His checkpoint is moving, and Todd and Arakia are starting like a fucking revolution on this fucking island or whatever. It's not really a revolution, but you get what I mean. And then the Gladiator trio, they start going down. Oh my god, it starts rising. You know, you have Waits, he dies. And then Hyain dies. And then Idra, he says he's the son of a miller. Oh my god, it goes up. And then Subaru confronts Todd. And then he says, next time I'll blow your head off with the Invisible Providence. Oh my god, it's so cool. And then it didn't happen. And then you're like, oh, it didn't happen. But I can't put it that low, man. It's still... fuck, where do I put this? I don't know, let's put it here. It's Oh, it's still so... It's such a good first read. It's such a good first read, and I think even though the reset hurts, I think, and it sets like the worst precedent in human history, I guess, it's... There's still stuff to pick up on a reread, there's still stuff to enjoy on a reread. It's not... It's still so enjoyable. Maybe I'd put it A if I had more time to think about it, but it's like low A, top B. That shit was unbelievably cool until, you know, address me. Garfield versus Kafma. The fight that Atsuko was too afraid to draw because he knew he wouldn't be able to tap into its latent potential. I would say this is a mid-B tier fight because it's really good. In terms of like a fight, in terms of like the choreography and stuff, I don't think there's like too much going on for character stuff. I would say like Garfield's cool in it, but it's not that crazy in terms of character stuff, but in terms of the actual fight, it is crazy. It's fucking insane is what it is. Oh, that shit is gonna be slaughtered in the anime. Sorry. No talking about the anime. Sorry. Lost control for a second. Garfield and Roswell versus Olbart. Kinda wish this was a cooler fight. I would say Garfield versus Calf was better. Like, I don't know, you see Roswell pull up, you're like, oh shit, something cool's about to happen. Nothing really cool happens, but it's still like a good fight. Because I guess Roswell can't really use his magic or anything. It was pretty, see, now we're getting into now we're getting into territory where these fights are covered by fan artists. So they look way cooler than, one, the way Asuka draws it, and two, the way the sorry. Never mind. Yeah, it's like a cool fight. I like it. Not that crazy, though. Emilia and Cecilis versus Madeline. I feel like I'm the only person on Earth that has deeped Emilia versus Madeline. I guess I don't feel particularly rewarded for it, but I thought it was a really interesting matchup because Madeline is someone who embraces what used to be and can't let go, whereas Emilia is someone who has to move beyond that. Right? That's kind of what the point of the trials were. So I would say this is like a top of B fight. Is this top of B at this point? Is this middle of B? Like middle top of B? I think it was a good fight. And then Cecilis had to come and fucking stink it up. No, he was fine. Thought it was more emotionally resonant when it was Emilia versus Madeline, but I heard that if top 8 lets Emilia have any like emotionally cathartic or powerful content, his chair will explode into shrapnel and go up his ass. So I guess he's not doing that. Priscilla and Yorna versus Arakia is a fight that's primarily good for Arakia. I would say this is some of Arakia's best content. You know, her entire arc is pretty obviously explained by the origin of the Spirit Eaters and their, you know, trauma from a loss of a pillar and how they need a pillar to exist, and how Arakia's pillar is Priscilla, even though Priscilla has changed and grown as a person, asterisk. And you throw Yorna in there for good luck because she was just a good character. I really like Yorna. Liked. But, it was a good fight. Al, Medium, Otto, and Petra versus Todd. Now, this is a fight that people go like, oh my god, I expected so much more from this fight. And I go, why? Why would you expect so much more from this fight? You have two non-combatants, a child and Al, versus someone who doesn't like the fight. I thought this fight was cool. A lot of people weren't super thrilled on it, but I thought it was fun. Watching Al and Todd fight is a matchup that I never thought would have happened in my entire life. Especially when you... Does this count as a... I shouldn't say it. Because it's a spoiler, right? Yeah, I won't say it. But those who know. Todd and Al may have more in common than you might think. I thought it was a fun fight. It was interesting seeing these characters get to work together and interact. And I liked Todd getting frustrated, like, I should have killed you, like, fucking 8 billion times by now. And Al's like, huh? That's weird. But those are the Arc 7 fights. Really got into the fight slop in this arc. But, you know, it was good fight slop. Sometimes slop is good. Now for the Arc 8 fights. The end of the fight slop. Haha, just kidding. There's plenty more where that came from. Waiter, more fight slop, please. Subaru versus Todd round 2 is my favorite fight in ReZero. Now this might blow some of you away considering how I talk about Arc 8. And that's fair, but I feel like Subaru and Todd I mean, honestly, I would really recommend you go back and watch my Arcade Phase 1 video. You can just skip to the Subaru versus Todd fight. It's fine. This fight is such an incredible capstone on their relationship. It's such an incredible capstone on all of the shit that we've been wondering about Todd. It's such an incredible extrapolation on Subaru's hero complex and how other people might interpret that. Dude, everything about this fight is great. The sense of stakes, the scale of the fight, everything about it is so incredible. I really do think this is the best fight in ReZero. The imagery is just so powerful in my head of Werewolf Todd over Subaru with his axe trying to kill this kid with 3 fucking arms holding him back. It's so incredible set piece, incredible scope, incredible stakes, incredible characters, incredible dynamic, everything about it glazed to the utmost. It was fantastic. Cecilius versus Sphinx. Why do I even have this on here? They don't even fight. Why did I put this on here? It's a D tier because it's Cecilius. How about that? Let's put it in there. Anyway, moving on. Subaru, Amelia, Julius, and Hannibal versus Sphinx. Not really much of a fight. I would say it's like, I don't really think about it. It's fine. Sphinx was pretty cool with the Valkyrie Cromwell stratagem, and when you learn about escape by death, I would say. Maybe that, I don't know, maybe we could bump that up to like bottom of B. Yeah, it was cool, sure. Everyone versus Lamia. This is a D tier fight because, and this is a very powerful point that I'm gonna make. What is there to say about it? What are we gonna talk about burst stats? We're gonna talk about fucking Mr. Netanyahu burst stats himself? Like, what are we doing here? There's nothing to say. You learn about the undead. I guess that's cool. The fight is not particularly exciting. The whole phase is on a fucking train. Lamia, who cares about this shit? I would say this is like a bit. I put this here. This is like the first actual D tier fight. I don't think this fight is particularly good. Very cumbersome as a reader. Did not enjoy it that much. It's going in D. Cecilius and Al versus Balroy. This was a cool fight. Wouldn't say a particularly strong narrative importance, but it was cool seeing them work together. You know, it was cool seeing Aldebaran carry because, you know, he can loop, but I digress. And then Rowan just had to come and stink up the fight with his cloud cutting, unfortunately. But it was a cool fight. A really cool set piece of like Cecilius and Al blasting through the capital and like all these buildings collapsing and Aldebaran having to loop and use the smoke cloud generated by the firestone that blows up. It was cool stuff. I liked it. Wow, when you really look at the arcade fights here, it's really all downhill after Subaru versus Todd. It is, sorry. Groovy and Hannibal versus Ugard. This is another D tier fight, maybe? 1, I don't think the fight is particularly cool. 2, Groovy carried, but then Groovy like got his ass beat and got taken out the fight. I don't really care about Hannibal. I don't really care about Ugard. In fact, if you editor pull up the tier list, Ugard is on the bottom. He got shit on in my tier list. So the fight did not impress me. Tape taking his action figures and going, I'm gonna make the racist and the victim, I'm gonna slam my action figures together. It did not, it did not move me very much. I guess it was fine, I don't know. No, I don't think it was fine. It was boring. It was boring to read. This is in Phase 4, right? This was like something I was hard stuck on in the Phase 4 video that I have not finished still, sorry. Rowan versus Yorna. Damn, I kind of don't care. I mean, credit where it's due to Rowan versus Yorna. Sorry, I should probably shift that. There we go, that's better. Wait, I'll even give credit to the fake fight. There we go. Rowan killing himself to become stronger was pretty cool. But, the reason I don't like this fight is because Yorna never really feels like a character again, is kind of the issue. Like, Emilia and Tanza come in to fight Rowan instead, and then Ugard comes in, right? I'm not tripping, and they reunite, and then that's when like Yorna never has a coherent thought ever again in her entire life. That was pretty fucking depressing, and I mean, I would argue maybe this could be like a bottom of C fight, but I just didn't care about it very much because Yorna didn't get the exploration that I wanted. Rowan was cool, I guess, but not that cool. I don't know. It was whatever. This was when the arc really started to like dawn. It really started to dawn on me that like, oh, we're not really going anywhere. We're just fighting. We're just doing fight slop now. Sorry, I'm using that word a lot. Roswell in medium versus Balroy. I like this fight. I would say this is one of the best Phase 4 fights. This is Phase 4, right? It's got good Madeline and Balroy content. It's a really cool set piece. Like, just a really cool fight in general. And Roswell is such a little fucking bastard, dude. I had such a big-ass smile on my face when he dropped medium onto the ice spikes. He is such an evil little ghoul, dude. In his mind, he's probably like, well, if medium dies, Subaru will just restart, so it's all good. Let me just throw her onto the ground. He's such a conniving little bastard. That's what I love about him. I cannot wait for Roswell to come back in his full conniving evil attitude. It's gonna be so excellent. I guess I forgot to make graphics for these. I'm not really gonna ask the editor to put them in because that would be a fucking gratuitous task. But I forgot to have... I forgot to add quite a few. Well, first we'll do the Subaru and Subaru party versus Sphinx. It's fine, it's cool. The suicide pill being revealed at the party should be a big deal, but I guess it's not. If it is, it's probably like a... It'll be, but until then, it's like a bottom B. There's not really much of a fight, I guess. One I forgot to make a graphic for is... Cecilus and Al versus Sphinx, which is pretty cool. It's a really, really big peel back of Aldebaran's nature, right? Because he gets really pissed off about seeing Echidna. That shit was awesome. I would probably place that probably around the same spot as like Al versus Capella. You have like Cecilus cutting the star, which was interesting. It was an interesting fight. And the old Shamak for the first time, that was cool. Garfield and Heinkel versus Madeline. Any Heinkel content is good Heinkel content. I like the stuff with Garfield being like, hey, I know you're psychotic, but you know, I was psychotic once too. Let's take ibuprofen together. And it was good. Let's put it up here, man. It was a good fight. Heinkel is such a sad little man, and I love sad little men characters, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for me, I think it's great. But the final fights of Arc 8, Priscilla, Vincent, and Ugard versus the giant, stupid red thing that Otsuka did not communicate visually as he should have. Yeah, whatever. It's not that good. I'm not a big fan of Ugard being like, welcome back into the family. Also, Vincent with the Yang Sword and him becoming like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or whatever the fuck he's doing is really lame and boring. Priscilla hard carried. Not much of a fight. Unceremonious end to a massive saga that I don't think anyone will really think about again because it's immediately overshadowed by Priscilla's death. So, fight. Now, let's get into Arc 9. For the first Arc 9 fight, we have Al versus Garfield and Ezzo. And we're gonna, obviously, just like every fight, we kind of rate it by like how the fight started or how the fight went on, like choreography, set piece wise and stuff. But I also think that there's something to be said about Al versus Garfield and Ezzo for how unexpected this fight was. For every other fight, more or less, you know what's gonna come. Obviously, there are some here and there that are kind of surprises, but Al versus Garfield and Ezzo was so out of left field. It was so sudden, and it was marked by such a monumental shift that I feel it's bottom of A tier minimum, right? Aldebaran seals Subaru. He starts squaring up with Garfield. He starts taunting Garfield, pissing him off. Ezzo comes in. He starts, quote-unquote, outsmarting Ezzo. Ezzo pins that he is seeing into the future, and it is such a cool fight, and the way it ends is one of the most insane things in ReZero with Aldebaran taking over the fucking Divine Dragon. Jesus Christ, that shit is insane. And then it reset, and then it didn't matter, so moving down a tier. But I mean... the fucking reset, man. If you... I still get comments asking me what are my opinions on the reset. I have a video here. Just throw it up on screen. That's the video. Go watch it. Pause this one, watch it, come back. God, the fucking... No, don't get me started. And then you know, I said don't get me started on the reset, and then I was gonna start talking about the anime. I can't do this shit anymore. I can't do this shit anymore, man. The next fight, Al and Al versus Reinhard. Now, this fight wasn't as cool as I was expecting it to be, because I expected it to be more of Al fucking with Reinhard in terms of like what he does and doesn't know, and maybe have more of Al's hatred of knights. But it was still a really cool fight. I would probably put it top of B. I mean, look, you have Aldebaran, who's a looper, and the Divine Dragon, kind of, fighting the strongest being in existence as he pulls out all these crazy divine protections. They're throwing black holes at him and shit. Aldebaran hits him with Magi or Railgun. It was fucking awesome. But then you do have to remember that it didn't happen, so I guess we'll just shift that down. It didn't happen. Oh, God. Cool, though. I liked it. It was really fun reading this. I had a good time. The anime... Never mind. Moving on. The fight of the Aldebaran troop versus the Felt Camp. When the Felt Camp fight started, in my head I was like, well, we just fought Garfield and Ezzo, and then we just fought Reinhard. So how can Tape even make an interesting fight at this point? Like I don't know how he could do it. And then he did it. And honestly, I would say this is one of the best fights in ReZero. I'm serious. The Aldebaran angst, the Felt Camp, we see all their progression, we see all their developments, we see how far they've come. Aldebaran getting pissed off at Ratchan's willing to use his life. I mean, the chapter title describes it all, right? How to use a life. That shit is powerful. And then Rom versus Al at the end of it all was incredible. And then none of it happened. But you know what? I'm gonna still put this in bottom of A because I think the way it showed off the progression of the Felt Camp and stuff was phenomenal. And this fight was also when I started to really put together how Aldebaran is coming out on top in all these fights, but he's losing all of them, right? And the reason why he's losing all of them is because no one likes him. That's a crazy way to put it. It's because, like, think of Garfield and Ezzo, right? He pokes fun at Garfield, he gets him all riled up, which he takes advantage of. He's on his own side, you know, he uses the fucking Divine Dragon, and then you have, Al versus Reinhard, which he gets out of. He loses the fight, but he gets out of it because he takes advantage of somebody else's connection. Now you have Aldebaran versus the Felt Camp. He loses this fight. He almost gets soft-locked, but he gets out of it because of Felt and Rom's connection. It's an ongoing trend with all of the Aldebaran fights that he wins, but he doesn't really win. He takes advantage of their connections, and that's how he makes it out. So I thought it was phenomenal. Al versus Amelia. So this was the first fight that I had issue with in Arc 9. I went into Al versus Amelia, and I was like, oh my god, Amelia content. This is going to be awesome. Al versus Amelia. How is he going to make it out of this one? He's going to use her connections, right? And he kind of did, because he used Rem. But I would probably put it here. And then the fight ends without any significant dialogue between Al and Amelia, so then I would probably put it here. And then the fight didn't happen, so I'd probably put it here. Like, I don't know, there were so many interesting avenues it could have gone. I did like Earthbrand arts, that was cool. I appreciated the set piece with, like, Roy just in the middle of the fight, but stuck in a pillar because his limbs were broken. That was cool. Emilia... Tape just really does not want his chair to detonate and all that shrapnel to go up his ass. He just won't write Amelia. She doesn't get to do anything. And it's continually growing insulting. Basically, Al versus Amelia, I really thought it was going to be so much more, but it wasn't. It was kind of nothing. It was just, and I know I got away with words when I say this, it was just fight slop. That's just how it is sometimes, man. Sometimes it's just fight slop. Next fight is Wilhelm versus Ye. Not a lot to say thematically about this fight, but holy fuck is it crazy? Probably, like, put it up here. Ye versus Wilhelm was insane. The fact that Ye was even able to stand up to Wilhelm to begin with is crazy. Wilhelm, as soon as he saw his opponent was a woman, oh my god, he locked in. He was like, I'm gonna fucking take your life now. You fucked up now, you shouldn't have stuck with Aldebaran. He started popping off. some of the craziest shit that I've seen in this series, but then it didn't happen, so we're gonna like move it down here. But it was cool. It was a cool fight. Unfortunately, harmed by that didn't happen tax. And then you know what Wilhelm does? He's like, I got one more in me. And then he goes to fight fake Aldebaran and Heinkel. And now this was a powerful fight, okay? The Heinkel angst, the Wilhelm angst, all of that shit, you know, being brought back up. Heinkel not being able to fight his dad until he stabs him in the back. Now that shit was crazy. That, even though I wouldn't, well, it was obviously a fight because of Wilhelm and Aldebaran, in quotations. It wasn't really much of a fight between Wilhelm and Heinkel, but that ending was insanity. And then it didn't happen. So, that one gets moved down more than just a little bit like the other ones do. That one gets moved down a lot. That ending not happening is something fierce. Cool fight though, I guess. I don't know. Put the fights in the fight. I'm tired of fights. Okay? Do you guys see how much this tier list has ballooned? Ever since, like, Arc 6? Arc 7 added like 1 billion, Arc 8 added 1 billion, Arc 9's adding 1 billion. I know we're going into Arc 10, I know we're going to the Royal Capital. Top A will find a way, okay? The planes will start flying in, left and right, hitting the towers, hitting the Pentagon, hitting the White House like they were supposed to. Okay? He's gonna find a way. Capella's gonna come out and be like, holy shit, look how evil I am. And they're gonna start fight slopping. They're gonna start fight slopping up and down Lagunica. Okay? I'm so tired of fights. It's just, it's getting gratuitous reading all of them. Because it's not like we have like an action and then something cool happens. Like, thematically I mean. And then we have an action and then a character moment happens. You have like fucking 5,000 characters in a row describing fighting actions. And then maybe you get, so that he shuts you up, he gives you like a little crumb in between the fight slop. Anyway, Roswell, Clind, Ezzo versus Aldebaran, quote unquote. I'm gonna be completely honest, even though I just read this fight, couldn't tell you what happened in it. I mean, I know what happens in it, but like, anything really substantial? The Roswell trial line? Am I mixed on that? Yeah, I'm still thinking about that one. But it's gone now, actually, so I guess I don't have to. The fight didn't happen, though, so, Oh, I just remember, this fight has Clind. Oh, wow. Clind is, like, so lame in this fight. It's insane. Sorry, I had to make a quick adjustment. Clind feels... I talk about this in the tier list video, in the character tier list video. Clind feels so much like an OC, like a fanfiction OC. He has such OC energy. Oh my god, look at me, I'm the Divine Dragon's Dragonkin. Look at me, I take off my monocle and I get my hidden demonic powers. Oh my god, I grow horns, I shoot purple lightning. I can deal with an Al Shario off screen. Like, what is that? It killed the whole fight for me. It was so boring and lame and uninteresting. My eyes just glazed over this one, man. This was not it. Ye versus Rem. A lot of people like this fight more than me, and I don't know. What do you guys think of this fight? I feel like, I guess I just don't have strong opinions. It was fine. Like, yeah. It was cool. How about that? We'll put that, and then it didn't happen, so I guess it's like C. It was cool, I guess. And I liked that, you know, Ye realized, or Ye got to explore her feelings for Aldebaran more. I don't know. It was fight slop, dude. I don't know what to tell you. They were fighting on the disc. I couldn't even enjoy the set piece anymore because I was getting so burnt out reading thousands and thousands and thousands of characters of pure fighting the whole fucking time that I was getting burnt out. Even though I was still... I want to make it clear that at this time I was still very much enjoying the arc. A lot of this is especially exacerbated by the bitterness of the Great Reset, I would say. Speaking of the Great Reset, the final fight of Arc 9 and the most recent fight of ReZero. Aldebaran Troop versus Aldebusters. This is kind of a hard fight to quantify because it takes place with so many different people in so many places and so many different moving pieces. You know, I would say, like, you could argue that the Roy and Heinkel stuff is a totally different fight from the Aldebaran versus Petra stuff. But I would say, as a package, all of it would have been up here. Especially the Aldebaran versus Petra section. Petra's name chapter it was going blow for blow with some of the best content in ReZero, okay? And every day, it's the Kagurabachi panel, bro. Every day I wake up, I think about Petra named to start the day with fresh hatred for the Great Reset. The fact that that shit's gone is a kick in my nuts in particular. The Heinkel stuff was fantastic. Roy got character development, character progression that he's never had before. The Black Snake was fucking insane. The whole Felt Camp coming together doing crazy shit. You know? You had Aldebaran and Petra. That fight was phenomenal. You have Aldebaran activating aggressor mode. You have the Aldebaran name chapters within. Oh my god. It was incredible. But then... Oh my god, but then... None of it happened. But then none of it happened. Oh, mother. You might be wondering why I'm not moving all these to F if they never happen. It's because I'm not someone who believes that the Great Reset undoes every single detail. I don't believe that. I think that there are still things to extract from these fights, even if they didn't actually happen. Except for Al versus Amelia, maybe. But, it hurts. It does hurt really bad. Because the Aldebaran troop versus the Aldebusters was just so incredible. It was so incredible. I was willing to forgive Tape for the fight slop because he knew where he was going. And then he shot me in the chest with buckshot, dude. It's fucked up. But these are my ReZero fight rankings for arcs 1 through 9. I guess reminder that the arc 4 and kind of arc 6 rankings are somewhat tentative because my memory on those is probably the worst for ReZero. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what you guys disagree with. Let me know what you guys agree with. I know some people might be hot about the Arc 9 stuff, but just watch my Arc 9 video if you want my perspective, man. That's all I can say. Thank you so much for watching. That's about it. See ya. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about ReZero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Grafia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.